None of the kings could grow strong enough to defeat the others because of the nature of the land and the farming conditions and the lack of uh, and the not having the ability to move easily. The lands that Mayans lived on were not very appropriate for farming. So the peasants didn't grow much extra food. Surplus means more than needed, alright? It was just only enough for themselves and a few others, and not very much surplus. Barely means only just the case, only just true. Barely enough, it means enough but not covering, not having extra, okay? Just that much. The peasants worked hard on the land, and the kings who often acted as priests promised the peasants rain to grow crops. Toiled on the land. Toil means to work hard, doing unpleasant or tiring tasks, alright? Priest is a person who is engaged in religious duties, alright? Like in any other ancient cultures, the Mayans were very superstitious and believed that the rain was something from God. Superstitious means believing in something that is not real. For instance, magic, alright? Annual means relating to a period of 1 year. Rainfall is the amount of rain that falls on an area in a particular period of time. Divine means of God. During the years when the food was plenty, all went well. Bountiful means plentiful. And the king's and the priest's prayers brought rain. That means it didn't actually brought rain, but the peasants thought that the plenty rain was due to kings and priests' prayers, okay? The peasants planted and harvested the crops, and there was enough food to support the growing numbers of people. Population is all the people living in an area, or the number of them, alright? And archaeologists think that any number from 2 to 10 million people lived in the area when the Mayan civilization was at its most powerful state. Indeed means you use this to emphasize that something is true. Estimate means to give, make an approximate guess, approximate judgment or calculation. Anywhere from means any number from, okay? At the height of means when something is at its most powerful or successful state. So what is this part about? The lands where Mayans lived were not the most appropriate land for farming, and the peasants didn't grow much surplus food, okay? It was only enough for themselves and a few others, and not much extra. The peasant worked hard on the land, and the kings who acted as priests promised them rain to grow crops. And like people in the ancient cultures, the Mayans were superstitious and believed the rain was from God. When there was plenty of food, there was no problem. Because there was enough rain, the peasants harvested crops, and there was enough food to support the growing numbers of people. And archaeologists judge that any number from 2 to 10 million people lived in the area when the Mayan civilization was at its strongest. Okay, Mayan cities. In Mayan cities, there were temples, palaces, and home of the elites. Elites are the powerful, rich, talented people in a group or a society, alright? And the peasants lived on the land, and they only went into the cities during ceremonies to pray for rain or for religious events. Only ventured into the cities. Venture means to go somewhere where it might be dangerous. They only went into the cities, okay? Ceremonies is a formal event. Okay? And this was only just a few times a year. Because Mayan society was immobile. That means you can't move well in that society because there were no beasts of burden. That means the animals which carried the loads, the heavy loads, or wheeled vehicles, or boats with sails. They didn't have these kind of inventions there. When the people first came to America, the first people that came to America, I'm not mentioning the people after Columbus, right? The original Indians. When they came in before the invention of wheels. So they didn't have any wheels. So people couldn't move that easily. All right. And all movement and building things or farming and moving people or goods were done with only human power. Project is a series of work or tasks to get a single result. All right. Transportation is the moving of people or goods. Kings could not unite the whole Mayan civilization because the farmers were inefficient, not efficient to grow enough food to supply large armies, and the armies were never fast and mobile. They can't move well to defeat other kingdoms nearby. Inefficient means does not bring the intended result or does not work well, okay? Subdue means to defeat other people or bring them under control by using force. Numerous means a large number. Neighboring means which is next to or near. Kingdom is a country or a region ruled by a king or a queen, alright? So what is this part about? The cities of Mayans had temples, palaces, and elites' homes, all right? And the peasants lived on the land, and they only went into the cities while there was a ceremony for religious events, and this was only a few times a year, because they couldn't go into the cities because it was not easy to move, because there were no horses or any kind of animals to use to as transportation, or wheeled vehicles or boats. Okay, they had boats, but not the boats with sails, which make the movement easily. All the movements or the buildings or the farming were done by human power and transportation also. The kings could not unite the Mayan civilization, the whole Mayan civilization, because the farmers were not efficient. They can't grow enough food to supply large armies, and the armies were not fast, and they can't move easily because move easily to defeat other nearby kingdoms. That's what this part is about. And soon the population grew, and the suitable farmland became not enough. Okay, and even civil war among the peasantry began. Okay, thanks to means because, scarce means not enough, civil means happening inside one country, among the groups of people in that country. Peasantry is all the peasants living in a country. Break out means to begin or arise suddenly. Okay, and areas of the jungle were cut down to make more farmland, but this caused soil erosion and the loss of nutrients because they cut down the jungles. Swath, okay, this is the width, all right, the width of a sweep of a blade. Okay, a width of a sweep of a blade. Okay, that area of one blade. But this in turn means as a result of a series of things. Soil erosion. Erosion means the gradual destruction or removal of rock and soil in an area by rivers, the sea, or the weather, which means wind, right? And the loss of valuable nutrients. Nutrients are the substances that help something grow, okay? And then there was reduced rainfall and some even drought, okay, in the 8th century. Drought is a long period when there's no rain.